Alright, hope everybody had a good Monday. We're going to do another one of these recaps. Today we're going to be looking at the SPY 5-minute chart. So I'm going to do a signal recap. So I'm going to go through all the signals, the entry, the exit, and the stop criteria that are already predefined using my system. So I want to talk you through this in depth because the cool thing to note here today is that every single one of these was successful if you followed the criteria. Now I outlined this criteria months ago. This is kind of part of the system that I've developed. But of course, you don't have to follow this. You can trade the signals however you want, it's up to you, but per that criteria we can say that we had 6 signals successful. And let me just outline that really quick. So for the PRs, the criteria is we enter at the candle close that has the PR signal. We are targeting a pullback into the EMA cloud if it's above the cloud. For the bearish PRs, if it's below the cloud, we're targeting a push into the cloud, right? We're always looking at the 9 EMA to take our profits. And then if we get a PR that is already above the clouds, for example a bullish PR, then we're looking to take it to the next level of resistance. Same thing for inverse. If we're looking at bearish, we're looking to the next point of support. Now if we're looking at long and short signals, it's the same idea, right? We're entering the short signal or the long signal looking to target the next significant level of support or resistance that's outlined by the script itself. And then what we look to do is if we're right next to VWAP, we use VWAP as our stop, we use the EMA clouds as our stop, and this is obviously determined based on how extended we are from either one of those. So that's the outline criteria. Let's get started. I'm going to click on the replay. Now I did end my trading pretty early in the day. I stopped trading futures, pretty early on after the first PR signal on NQ. Traded 3 of my PA accounts for around like $1,600 across the 3 total. And then I took a GME trade early in the day for fun, and then I took a SPY trade on the PR signal. So let's go through these. I'll walk you through one by one. So we actually did have a little bit of chop early on in the day. So you'll see that we have this push to the upside. Right, we end up flagging a little bit, which you can see here, right, and then we have another leg up. We pull back. Now we're starting to form a little bit of resistance. So when we see resistance start to form like this, I like to just mark it out, right? And then you can also see that we did have some support in the EMA cloud. So now we could end up just bouncing around in this area for a while. So we always look to see, if we can establish a clear market direction. Now, if you look at the trend based on our EMA configuration, we are still bullish. So we're still keeping an eye on that. We're not going short, but we're just keeping a lookout for any other setups that could happen here. Again, we have another push into the clouds and then a push back up into this area of resistance, and then we actually fail to break out of that area once more. So we don't have any confirmation to go long here because we still have kind of what you see is almost like a ceiling above us, and then we don't want to go short because we have the EMA clouds and VWAP below us. So we're kind of stuck here, and we're just watching, looking for a good opportunity, or not watching and just waiting for a signal. Now here we have a little dump. This is a bearish engulfing candle that takes us below VWAP, so I wouldn't be surprised if we retest a pre-market high here, which we do, and that gives us a nice little bounce pad to jump back above the clouds. So again, right, if we're shorting, we take profits at pre-market high because that's a significant level of support. And if we're looking for a bounce to catch the bottom, we would probably enter at pre-market high as well, looking for a stop below that area. So once again, we're still constrained to this tight area here. We don't have anything significant that we want to take as a trade. And then we get a PR signal. Now let's take a look at this PR signal, right? So it's a good signal for a couple of different reasons. Number one, right away what sticks out to me is how VWAP is being respected. VWAP has been respected as support 4 times here. Well, 3 times previously and the 4th time on this candle, right? So we already saw we can't break through VWAP here, and then we're getting a PR signal, and we have the predetermined stop loss here. That's something I'm going to be adding in the update tonight. It's not currently in the script. It's something that I've kind of my own work in progress, but I've put on here anyway for you guys to see. So the stop is a close below this support line, or this SL stop loss line, and then we're just looking for scalp back to the top of the cloud here. But if you do see that we are getting a lot of support on VWAP here, you can actually just draw the next immediate level of heavy resistance, which would be this area here, maybe even actually this top wick here. But either way, so we have a slight little dip. We hold VWAP for a 5th time here. Very important. Notice how we are respecting VWAP. And then we have a nice push into the area of resistance we marked earlier. So you can take your profits there. That's a nice run up. I think we do continue actually a little bit higher, and we hit the earlier level of resistance that we couldn't break before, right? So it's important that you learn how to draw these areas of resistance intraday, because especially on choppy days like this, it'll allow you to understand where you should be taking profits in order to minimize the risk on those contracts, because this kind of price movement will burn your 0 DTEs and can even have a pretty significant detriment on 1 DTEs or longer dated options. So anyway, we failed to break out of both of these areas. This looks like it could be setting up for a bull flag here, but we do know that we have this area of resistance, so we're just going to wait and see what happens. Right, we pull back into the cloud, starting to show a little bit of support, but we close below the cloud, retesting VWAP, and then VWAP fails, and then we get our short signal. So one piece of conviction right away is what I just told you, right? VWAP failed. So VWAP had shown support 6 times over the last few candles, right? So it was a very strong support. So once that broke, then we know, hey, that's a lot of selling pressure. It cracked through VWAP and it closed below. Number 2, we have a bearish engulfing candle. I like the volume that I'm seeing on this push down. Unfortunately, if we take a look at the next level of support, there's not much room down there, right? So there is that little, you could use the candle bodies here as level of support, but really the furthest support down you're getting is pre-market high. So pre-market high should be your final stop loss, target price. And then we can actually use VWAP as our stop because it's right there, right? So VWAP as stop, pre-market high support as target, and we're just looking for a quick scalp to the downside. We know that we've been chopping around between these areas, so we don't want to try to hold for an explosive move to the downside, especially since we haven't seen any kind of indication that, you know, this is not what's going to happen for the rest of the day. So boom, we hit this we get, you know, even more than we bargained for, right? We get a nice move all the way down, you know, 513.70. So, you know, another 15 cents below pre-market high. You have plenty of time to take your profits. And then we actually get a reversal signal. We get another PR. So what was the reason that we took our profits at pre-market high? Well, it's a very strong support. So when we close above it and we show this nice bullish bottom wick, you know, huge, it sounds, you know, kind of, you know, inappropriate. I'm not going to say a, you know, huge big wick on there, but there is a large bottom wick on this candle showing us some buying pressure, and that's showing that we could have a reversal because this is akin to a bullish hammer. And then the volume is confirming that buyers are stepping in, big volume. So we are looking for this PR signal to retap into that VWAP and EMA cloud area. Again, our stop is already there below the bottom wick of the candle, but we can actually have a little bit of a tighter stop on this one, right? Because we know pre-market high is a strong support, so we can actually move our stop to pre-market high, and this works in our favor because we have a pretty large bottom wick here, which means that we could take a heavy loss if we go below that. So we're going to move our stop to pre-market high, and we're just going to look to go back into those clouds. And look at that, nice engulfing candle, hit all of our targets and more. That was because that move, a move of that magnitude happened within 5 minutes. That's a nice gain on options contracts. Take your profits there. But hey, if you kept holding, look what you got rewarded with here. You got another move up to the upside. But again, we rejected this same resistance before, right? We want to break above that resistance, we want to close above it, and then my original target was to this 515 area, right? That's where I want to see price kind of become a magnet to once we break out and hold, maybe even consolidate and retest this overhead resistance area. So look at that. I kind of missed it really quick, but you'll see first time we closed above this area, right? The first close after 3 rejections of this resistance area, we immediately get a push up to that 515 area, and then we get a PR signal. Again, let's talk about the criteria, right? So we have our stop loss at the top of that candle wick. We're looking for a pullback into the clouds. All right, we could see a little bit of resist or support bounces here along these 2 zones we drew, but ultimately the cloud is our final target. You'll see, right? We fell into this support zone. You could scale profits here, but you know, either way, that is our final target. And then boom, our target is hit, and we see that little bounce there that closes back inside demand. So now we take our profits on that bearish PR. You'll see we do get a little bit more, you know, push to the downside. Our 21 EMA lines up with this previously supply, currently demand area we drew, so that gave us a nice bounce, and we closed back above this area here. So maybe we expect another bounce to this resistance area. There we go, right into that resistance area, and actually we break through that area, consolidate along that support, and then we keep going higher, which is nice. Making a new high of day here. We're just riding the EMA clouds. Trend is to the upside. And I totally missed that. Let's rewind a little bit. So we get another PR here, a bearish PR. You're starting to see trend is a little bit exhausted, right? We're starting to see some selling pressure step in. We see the bearish PR. Our stop loss is marked. Again, we're just looking for a push into the EMA clouds. Our stop is defined there. All right. On the next candle, we get a little push up, but again, we're still seeing this resistance area being respected, and then boom, dump into the clouds. Okay, so we dump into the clouds, you take your profit, and then the good thing is that was that's why we scalped to the EMA cloud, because we had a strong trend here. So we want to get out at our target. We won't want to try to hold for a big move, because here, boom, once we got our target, we reversed back and we continued to the upside here. Okay. A little bit of a evening star pattern here. We fall back into the EMA cloud, might catch some support here, maybe even bounce back into this level of resistance formed by these candles. Yep. All right, we rejected this level of resistance here, formed this inverted hammer candle. The selling pressure is heavy on that. Again, pulling back into the clouds. Now the cloud is not, the cloud is, we're broken below the cloud, closed below, bearish engulfing candle. We see the volume there, so I would expect at least a retest of the support level we have from earlier. Boom, retest that support, and we get a PR signal. The support held. I like this signal. Now I would be careful. This might be one that you just want to sit out. Number one, because it's power hour, and number two, because it's sitting already at the EMA cloud. You see we're already at the 21 EMA here. Now what is a good sign is that we actually closed above the 21 EMA, right? So the EMA didn't, we didn't reject it per se. We closed inside the cloud. So we would say, okay, this is your max target, right? We don't want to try to take this outside the cloud if we're below it. So the 9 EMA would be our target there. You see we hit that target and even a little bit higher, and then at just tiny little scalp I would get out there, especially because this also looks like it could be a bear flag. If you take a look at that there, rejecting the EMA and then forming this little flag formation there could be a setup for more continuation to the downside, especially with power hour, and we already kind of had this little double top, if you will, here at this resistance region. So we end up pushing back down, and then look at this area where we reverse. Right, we marked this before to the cent. This is where we hit support. Huge bullish engulfing candle. Looks bullish to me, right? We never flipped our EMAs. We're still bullish. I mean, this is. I mean, I would be very surprised if we, immediately reverse here. We would at least want to push back into the same level of resistance. If we break out of it, we continue higher. If we reject, could be a triple top, and then we end up dumping end of day. Boom, close above it. Right now, we just have to crack through high of day, because this could be resistance. Got to crack through high of day, and they could be clear skies to 516-ish. So maybe like around right here. And boom. There it is. So huge break to 516. Pretty extended here, but we actually just end up running into close. And so there you go. There is a full breakdown of all the signals, the stops, the entries, whatever, and then as well as just general PA. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I'll continue to do them as much as I can. Thanks.